Ever wonder what would happen if Homer Simpson faced the music for his, shall we say, questionable actions? Well, I've been binging The Simpsons like they were tough beer, and let me tell you, this nuclear safety inspector is a walking, talking OSHA violation.
All right, get in there.
You're going down.
Everything from minor mischief to crimes that make even Mr. Burns look like an angel. Let's jump right in. Driving without a license? That's nothing new for Homer. And drunk driving? Dude's no stranger to that one either. He's pulled that stunt more times than we can count, but I'll list one of his funniest stints. So one time, Homer's driving Barney home because Barney's too drunk to drive.
Barney, give me your keys. You're too drunk to drive. I'm fine. Okay? You leave me no option. Ow! 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 All right, here, take the keys.
But the thing is, Homer himself is too drunk to drive as well, and that is why he stopped by the cops.
Gulp. W, X, Y, and Z. Now I know my ABCs. Won't you come and play with me?
Flawless.
And though he almost got away with it, Barney got him arrested.
Oh, I guess you're free to...
Give him the breathalyzer!
Huh? You're under arrest.
No!
Homer gets what he deserves. His license is revoked, and he has to attend traffic school and 2 months of Alcoholic Anon meetings.
Your license is hereby revoked, and you are to attend traffic school and 2 months of Alcohol meetings.
Your Honor, I'd like that last remark stricken from the record.
No.
The first-time DUI offense will get him a measly 48 hours of jail time, nothing compared to the rest of the convictions you're about to see. He'll also be charged $6,250 and get his license revoked for a year. All I want for Christmas is for Homer to be normal, which I've accepted is just not going to happen. We see exactly him not being normal when, for Christmas one year, Homer ends up buying an expensive gift for himself instead of buying a Christmas tree or a gift for his family. Very selfish move on his part.
You wasted our money on something extravagant for yourself.
There's a trickle-down theory here. If I'm happy, I'm less abusive to the rest of you.
And, well, his family doesn't let it go that easily, and they make sure he knows he screwed up big time.
I am not returnable.
When he tries to make it up to Marge, she reminds him once again that he was selfish for what he did.
You just don't get it, do you? Christmas is a time to think of others. But today you showed you only care about yourself.
At least Homer finally gets that actions have consequences. He regrets it greatly while he sleeps on the couch, and then he suddenly plans to change his ways and become the nicest man in town, basically taking Ned's title.
From now on, I will stop being selfish and start being good. I'll be the nicest man in town.
Homer does multiple nice things, like giving clothes and food to hobos.
The hobos sure will appreciate our old clothes and lima beans.
No need, Flanders. I've already given them my old clothes.
He gives Lenny a photo cube to make up for his lame present earlier.
Listen, Lenny, I know I was a pretty bad Secret Santa, so I wanted to make it up to you.
Wow, a photo cube with pictures of us.
And I filed down all the sharp corners. See? Your eye is completely safe.
Oh, wow, it just stings a little.
And he even gives his last pork chop to Marge, which makes her burst into tears of joy.
Marge, you want this last pork chop?
I dreamed of the day you'd say that.
Lastly, he also gives donations to the church.
I'm afraid you're a distant second this week.
I'm not looking for glory or wealth. I'm just buying that Stairway to Heaven Jesus sang.
Well, Ned is not happy with that, and to get his nicest man in town title back, he goes on and buys everyone presents.
Here you go, Principal Skinner, Mrs. Skinner.
You're actually giving everyone in town a Christmas present?
What's your angle, pervert?
My angle is giving in this world, living in the next.
Now, Homer's thinking about doing that, but he's got no new ideas. So Lisa reminds him of Buddhist ways where they believe that Christmas has gotten too materialistic and everyone would be better off without presents.
Actually, most people now feel Christmas has gotten too materialistic. In fact, as a Buddhist, I believe people would be a lot happier without presents.
You've given me a lot to think about.
Now, the normal thing to do here would be to just not do anything, but Homer, if we have not established that already, is not normal, is he? He decides to steal everyone's presents, which definitely isn't something the nicest man in town would be doing. Everyone riots against Homer when they find out that they're all gone.
Give back our presents, stupid man!
Shouldn't you all be singing carols or something?
And so he has no choice but to return their presents.
I think the only thing left to do is return all your gifts. Ned?
It'd be my pleasure, Homer.
Well, that worked out in his favor, but I'm pretty sure he's never getting the nicest man in town title back. In Fat Man and the Little Boy, Homer also steals plutonium to help with Lisa's physics project. So we've got another offense to charge him with. For all the time he's been guilty of theft, Homer will be looking at 9 months in the Springfield Slammer, and he'll be paying $11,250 in fines. Remember that time Marge broke her leg and ended up at the hospital?
Ow!
Somebody get a doctor!
Homer is left in charge of the house now, and let's just say that it's no less than a garbage dump at this point. Is that a toaster floating around? Since Lisa's the only one trying to get the house in working order, she gets agitated and decides to teach them a lesson. She puts paint on Bart and Homer to make them think that they've got leprosy because of the unsanitary conditions.
Let's see. Crusty sores,
Yes?
horrible wailing,
Yes! Yes!
any exposure to unsanitary conditions,
Duh, we're pigs.
and diagnose.
You've got leprosy.
Leprosy!
Now, being unhygienic as a person isn't a crime, but exposing your children to unsanitary conditions to the point of affecting their health and endangering their lives? Yeah, that's definitely child endangerment. And for that, Homer will be looking at a year in jail and $1,000 in fines. Maybe a conviction gets him to clean up the house a little. Even if Homer was arrested according to Springfield laws, there's no guarantee that he'll abide by them. We see a clear example of that when Homer gets punished for brawling on St. Patrick's Day and is told by the judge that his bail is set at $25,000.
Homer Simpson, you're a repeat offender.
Three-peat.
Bail is set at $25,000. I suggest you see a bail bondsman.
Homer sees a bail bondsman and is told to show up at his court date.
We'll put up your bail money, just pay us 10% and show up for your court date.
But of course, he doesn't do that and instead tries to be a bounty hunter since he lost his job after getting convicted.
What a great job. And I could use a job right now.
Whoa, not just anyone can be a bounty hunter. There is a $10 filing fee, but you can get around it. Congratulations, you're now a bounty hunter.
He goes on to ask Flanders to become a bounty hunter with him, and their partnership lasts some time, at least before they have a fallout and Flanders decides he's out of the bounty hunting business. But things take a turn when he's told he needs to turn in one more bail jumper.
Lucky Jim, I'm out of the bounty hunting business.
Not so fast, Ned. I got one more bail jumper for you to pick up.
Forget it. So that's that. I suggest you call Homer Simpson.
This is one jumper that Homer can't catch. Seems he never showed up in court on his St. Patrick's Day arrest.
Now, Flanders shows up at Homer's house in an attempt to arrest him, which leads to an epic chase.
You'll never take me alive! I got you, my friend.
Thanks, but what are you holding on to?
Well, I'm...
And after a long chase by Flanders, they both get stuck in concrete, and Homer finally ends up getting arrested.
Simpson, we're gonna put you away for a long, long time.
It's ironic that Homer was out there bounty hunting, but ended up getting arrested for bail jumping himself. He'll now end up having the same fate as the people he caught, and will be served with a fine of $6,250 and 1 year in jail. Honestly, for this next one, I gotta applaud his way of thinking. So Marge and Homer are out wine tasting together.
It goes great with the Jolly Rancher I'm sucking on.
And they get a bit too drunk while their kids are with them.
Tell Mama what Mama don't like.
Wow, Mom and Dad sure are having fun.
As long as they're not hurting anybody.
Uh-oh.
Whoa!
Unfortunately, the two continue drinking for several days on different occasions. Now, a very drunk Homer is driving a very drunk Marge home from an event. You just know this is not going to end well. Homer crashes the car without even realizing he's crashed the car because he's that gone. He panics as soon as he hears the police coming near his car because he knows if he gets another DUI, his license will get revoked once again. So he does what he can think of at the moment and places a very drunk and almost unconscious Marge in the driver's seat. To make matters worse, he gaslights Marge into thinking that it was her who drove drunk.
I can't believe I drove drunk.
But you do believe it, right?
I don't know what to believe anymore.
That's my girl.
Homer now has multiple DUIs that we know of, and now he's framed his wife for it too and made her believe that she was the one driving under the influence. For a second DUI offense and framing Marge for it, Homer will be spending 1 year and 6 months in jail and pay up to $7,250 in fines. Pretty well deserved, because not only is Homer a criminal here, but he's just a douchebag too. Remember that time Homer's laziness led him down a slippery slope again? As everyone in Springfield is filing their taxes, it gets so crowded that even the news starts covering it. And seeing that, Homer mocks them because, unlike the rest of those dumbasses, he filed his taxes a whole year ago.
Will you look at those morons? I paid my taxes over a year ago.
Dad, that was last year's taxes. You have to pay again this year.
No, because you see, I went ahead and year-wise, I was counting forward from the previous. No!
In a state of panic, Homer writes down some random and, not to forget, fraudulent information just to get his taxes done.
Okay, Marge, if anyone asks, you require 24-hour nursing care, Lisa's a clergyman, Maggie has 7 people, and Bart was wounded in Vietnam.
Cool.
Almost out of time, he recklessly drives to the post office and pulls off one hell of a buzzer beater.
Oh, no, you don't. One get in there, drop.
Go!
Finally, after all this chaos, he paid his taxes. Now he just has to pay the consequences of his actions.
Homer Simpson, United States government.
Help! Somebody!
Although he miraculously didn't end up getting charged in the episode, he wouldn't have that luxury in the real world. Putting up fraudulent information when filing your taxes will get him 5 years in jail and a $1,000 fine. Once again, Homer Simpson surprises us by sinking even lower than our expectations when he puts his 2 brain cells together to do some more shady things. In the episode 30 Minutes Over Tokyo, Homer and Marge's joint account gets robbed and they lose all their money.
We've still got $1,200.
All right, dorks. This is a hold-up. Download to Papa. Yoink.
Oh.
When Marge reminds him that they were saving that money for their family vacation, Homer comforts her by saying that he'll get the money even if he has to get a second job. And while that sounds very sweet to hear, we then see what his second job is. It's robbing Flanders' house.
Evening, neighbor. Low on funds again?
If Flanders decides to finally call the police, Homer will be spending a hefty amount of time behind bars. Since he didn't have any weapons or injured anyone in the process, surprisingly, Homer's burglary will just get him 5 years in jail with a $125,000 fine. Not bad at all. Homer has made a habit of leaving the scene of the crime faster than you can say no! From questionable driving decisions to a complete disregard for consequences. He's not the kind of driver you'd want to trust behind the wheel.
Turn left.
You're the driver.
In 50 feet ago, U-turn without signaling. Turn left into Garbage Alley.
Homer, if I were you, I would not trust that GPS you got because it is not helpful at all. Well, he's still listening to it, and now there's Gil Gunderson and a dog in front of him eating out of the garbage. This is definitely not going to end well for him. He now is faced with 2 choices, either to hit Gil or the dog, because hitting the brakes is not an option anymore. Later, he goes to visit Gil in the hospital with Marge, and we see that the accident broke Gil's neck. Now, not only did Homer disrupt the traffic, but hitting Gil while driving recklessly and injuring him is a classic case of reckless driving. For these crimes, Homer will be spending 5 years in prison and paying off a $127,000 fine. So it seems our friend Homer Simpson has landed himself in some really hot water. His various crimes have already earned him a 19-year and 3-month jail sentence and a $285,000 in total of fines. Yikes, dude, we're just halfway through and this guy's already neck deep in fines. And we're only going to be delving into more serious offenses as we go, where things get more disturbing and atrocious. Homer isn't just a menace as a father or a husband, but he's even one as a son. Turns out his habit of strangling people is pretty deeply rooted. When Homer is questioned about how he can lay hands on his son's neck, he's got a pretty good excuse for that.
Serious? You physically lay your hands on your boy's neck?
Yeah, I guess it's just how I was raised. Look at these grades. They're a disgrace. No TV for a week. Why, you little...
You would think by the way he worded it that it would be his dad strangling him. But no, the problem has always been Homer Simpson. It doesn't stop there though. In the episode Homer Simpson in Kidney Trouble, on their way back home from Bloodbath Gulch, Abe asks Homer if he can go to the bathroom before they leave.
Can I go to the bathroom before we leave? We gotta get home. I don't want to miss inside the actor's studio.
He doesn't stop the car even after Abe is visibly uncomfortable, and they pass a rest area with like 85 bathrooms. It doesn't stop even after Abe tells him he might explode. Until
this man's kidneys have exploded.
Although Homer is a minor at the time he strangled his dad, he can still be charged as an adult since this would classify as a violent crime. For that and his negligence resulting in his dad's injuries, Homer will be looking at 8 years in jail and $16,250 in fines. I think that might help him respect his elders a bit more. In the episode Kill the Alligator and Run, Homer and his family are vacationing in Florida and Homer wants to
He
rents an airboat and they go through the swamp where the town's mascot, Captain Jack, is found swimming. While Homer is having the time of his life, the kids are not that happy.
What kind of music built this city?
Rock and roll. Dad, look out!
Look out for what?
The giant gator.
The giant. Ah!
Oh no!
And now they've just murdered the beloved mascot of the town, Captain Jack. The police catch Homer in the act and he tries to swim away, but fails.
Okay, I'll go quietly.
The whole Simpson family is arrested, but when Homer catches the chance to grab the keys, he uncuffs everyone and they run to their car.
You can't drive, Dad. He's got your license.
Well, I'm gonna try anyway. It worked! It's a miracle!
Now they're being chased by the sheriff, and just to get away, Homer even thinks of running through a train crossing, which would pretty much kill his entire family.
Homer, no! You'll kill us all!
Or die trying.
His crime doesn't stop there, though, and we are on the road to Doe where he kills a horse.
Stupid horse! It's a deer crossing! Wipe the blood off the windshield and get in the car, boy.
Killing or seriously injuring animals in front of a minor is definitely a crime considered a Class B felony, so that earns him 10 years in jail and a hefty fine of $250,000. Now, Hans Moleman gets killed in the show so many times that they have an actual term for the crime, Moleman slaughter. And you can see where this one is going. In the episode, The Social Network, Homer brings home the Maple Void. Now, Lisa's been having a hard time with friends in real life, so when she gets her hands on the new computer, she gets a really cool idea.
It's easier to be friends with lots of people online than one person in person.
And that is how Springface was created. The social network was an immediate success, so much so that even the grown-ups started using it, in very distractive ways too. While driving, Homer is busy using Springface without paying attention to the road and ends up hitting Hans Moleman. Even though Hans dies multiple times in the show and keeps miraculously respawning, we'll still be counting this as manslaughter since Homer did end up killing Hans. Dude should have just waited to get home to use Springface because now he's looking at a prison sentence of 10 years and a hefty fine of $250K. By now, you know there's no limit to the sketchy things that Homer can pull off. And we see an example of that when Homer puts his big brain to work when there is a ban on alcohol in Springfield.
Alcohol is a way of life. Alcohol is my way of life, and I aim to keep it.
Sounds like you have a plan.
Maybe I do, Chief. Maybe I do. Come on, boy, think of a plan.
I'm trying, Dad.
Taking your underage kid to dig up alcohol isn't really the best form of parenting you can exhibit, but Homer isn't really known for his amazing parenting anyway. Homer fills the beer into bowling balls, and then, with the use of a pipe under the Bowl-O-Rama, he smuggles the beer-filled bowling balls to Moe's. If he decides to put this much effort into anything remotely productive, he can actually do some good for the world, but oh well. In return for his smuggling, Moe fills the bowling balls with money and sends them back to Homer. Teaching your son how to be a bootlegger is insane parenting. On another occasion, when Mr. Burns cancels the plant employee's prescription plan, Homer comes up with another plan to get drugs. Grandpa gives a crazy idea, and the two head to Canada to smuggle drugs back into Springfield. And with the help of Grandpa's old veterans of one war buddies, they get fake health cards to get some drugs. And so the two buy drugs at the pharmacy. Enough of them to kill a whole herd of horses. Now the drugs have been smuggled into Springfield safely. Great teamwork, Homer and Grandpa. Smuggling is a pretty big deal no matter how minimal and easy Homer makes it look. He's looking at 40 years imprisonment and $500,000 in fines. Remember what happened with Bashir bin Laden and his parents? It's still considered one of the worst crimes committed by Homer, and it also falls under the category of hate crimes. Bart befriends a new kid in the town named Bashir bin Laden. Bashir and his family just moved from Jordan. At first, Homer's very cool with Bart being friends with Bashir. Then his pals scare him. And of course, he gets paranoid.
Homer, this is serious. This Bashir kid is muscle and therefore up to something.
I can't believe that till I see a fictional TV program espousing your point of view.
For the last time, Fayed, where did you hide the nerve gas?
And she loved it.
The normal thing would be to talk to Bart first, but Homer is not normal. He just wants to get rid of this new friend of Bart's, and his friends give him some pretty insane ideas.
Well, if you want to stop Bashir and his war on American principles, you could discriminate against his family in employment and housing. A little dinner, a little dessert, and then you Jack Bauer him into giving you all their secrets.
I guess I have no choice.
Evil Homer has jumped out, and who knows what he's about to do to Bashir and his family at the dinner. The dinner is going well so far, but we know Homer's got other plans. He's even casually saying some insensitive things here and there just to spice things up.
Interesting. Like just the other day, I was reading that science is used to make bombs.
Pretty messed up to say. He then goes into the kitchen to get the dessert. It appears he's made a cake that looks like an American flag. He tries to get them to eat the cake, but they uncomfortably say no. The Bin Ladens leave the house after getting offended, and Marge tells Homer to go and apologize to them. And Homer's response to that is just the frackin' greatest.
I'm sorry. It's just so fun and easy to judge people based on religion.
When Maggie tries having a taste, Homer stops her. Why, you ask?
It's poison.
Not only was this a hate crime, but it was an attempted murder. That is indeed a felony, and Homer will get 60 years in jail with $1,125,000 to pay in fines. Even 100 side jobs can't help him pay that off. You don't gotta watch The Simpsons much to know that Homer Simpson isn't really the best candidate for father or husband of the year. He's actually done some pretty messed up things to his kids, especially Bart, and here's some examples.
You little...
Homer strangling his kids is a very reoccurring thing and a running gag on the show, but that doesn't mean it's not a crime. Bart gets strangled by Homer the most, and the poor guy can never catch a break.
You little... I'll teach you to laugh at something that's funny.
It seems like every time Homer's a little bit pissed off about anything, he reaches for Bart's throat to strangle him.
Did you make a prank call to Brazil?
No, sir, I didn't.
Choke on your lies! I'll audience you! Down your candor!
You can strangle Bart, but you can't strangle your humiliation.
And thank you, Lisa, for giving him the reality check. While I agree Bart can be a real menace, that doesn't mean he deserves to get strangled by his dad the way that he does. These are just 5 instances where Homer strangles Bart, because if I start listing all of them, I'd probably die before I finish them all. There are 152 instances in all 36 seasons combined, which lands Homer a whopping 152-year jail sentence and $950,000 in fines. But here we see him doing it a measly 5 times. Looking at all this child abuse under Oregon laws, it would get Homer 5 years in jail along with a fine of $31,250. And these numbers are just from the 5 instances alone. Homer might not be father of the year, but he desperately wants to be the babysitter of the year. In the episode Children of the Lesser Claude, Homer ends up injuring his knee at the Springfield YMCA basketball game.
I'm okay. Ow!
Now he's at home recovering and is getting extremely bored. Just to keep himself busy, he even puts his family dog and cat in a bag to breed them with each other. Yeah, Homer can be a real psychopath at times. Moving on, Flanders comes to Homer with his kids and asks if Marge can babysit his children for the day. When Flanders' son asks him if Homer can babysit them every day, Flanders says he's not running a daycare, but that does give Homer an idea. Soon the word spreads, and all the kids in the town are now at Homer's place at Uncle Homer's daycare center, while his actual kids are getting terribly neglected.
Ow! You stepped on my arm!
Sorry. Daddy thought you were a pile of cable.
Poor Bart and Lisa, man. But these two are going to prove that they are, after all, Homer's kids. They decide to show the world who Homer really is.
This is the real Homer Simpson, a beer-drinking meanie!
I'll make you good!
Homer says everything is taken out of context, but proves the point of his kids when he strangles Bart on stage in front of everyone. Instead of defending himself and then telling them that he isn't like that, he proves them right and kidnaps the kids. He ends up crashing the van full of kids and then tries to run away, which he fails to do spectacularly. Needless to say, Bart and Lisa's plan worked like a charm, and Homer was back at home with his kids. Now, he kidnapped those kids out of love, but that doesn't stop it from being a crime. Kidnapping in the first degree is a felony, and for that, Homer's looking at 160 years in jail and a whopping $3 million fine. Maybe he should have just accepted the award and called it a night. Oh well, if Homer can commit tax fraud and have multiple DUIs, why did I think he'd draw the line at interfering with a federal investigation? In the episode Mother Simpson, Homer meets his mother while he's lying on an empty grave that belongs to him since he kind of faked his death. A classic Homer, right?
You awful, awful man! Get out of my son's grave!
I hate to rain on your parade, lady, but this is my grave. Hey, wait a minute. Mom?
Homer?
I thought you were dead!
I thought you were dead.
Where have you been all this time?
Oh, it's a very complicated story. Let's just enjoy this moment.
Lisa thinks that there's something fishy about Mother Simpson. That's when Bart tells Lisa that he doesn't trust their grandma either, because he found IDs with different names in her purse. Later, the family asks Mona to tell them the truth about herself.
Spill it, Muddy Mayor. We're calling the cops.
Please don't.
All right, then we'll call your husband. Grandpa!
No! I'll talk. I'll tell you everything. I've wanted to tell you.
She says that she's been running away from the FBI because of setting an atomic bomb off in a lab and killing Mr. Burns' germs in the 1960s. Ever since that moment, she's been a fugitive and had to be away from her family for the sake of their safety. Now, in the present time, the FBI is still after Mona and is tracking her down. The FBI, Mr. Burns, and the police show up at the Simpson household to arrest Mona. The FBI searches the Simpson house, but she is nowhere to be found. And then we see that Homer has fled the house with her. Whatever Mona did, whether she's innocent or not, is up to the court to decide. Providing her a safe passage to run away from the FBI once again is a crime of its own. Homer will be suffering the consequences for harboring a terrorist with life imprisonment. With all this combined, Homer's looking at a staggering $6,376,250 in fines and 489 years behind bars. But how does this sketchy character compare? Click the video on screen to find out.